After moving to a new house, a sick man will realize that he is getting better. But all of this will take its toll later when he discovers that there is a ghost in his pool. That's why today night swim. Remember, if you like the videos, you can support the channel by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Let's get started. In the summer of 1992, a little girl notices that there is a boat in her pool. So she goes to her brother, who is sick, to tell him because she wants to take it to give it to him as a gift without their parents finding out. Only when she goes down does she realize the boat is no longer floating, but at the bottom of the water. However, she takes a net to be able to get it out until she mysteriously falls into the pool. She swims with her mother on the surface, apologizing for scaring her. Only when she comes up, there is no one around her, so she decides to get out of the water. But just then, the boat begins to drift away, moving increasingly further from her. And when she finally grabs it, something strange fights with her until it makes her disappear. In a scene change, we meet our protagonist, Rai, along with his family, when they see a house where the real estate person, named Kay, explains that it has many amenities to make them feel good. The boy, who uses a cane because of an illness, later notices another house for sale that he wants to see. But people say that she didn't show them because it doesn't meet what they want. Although it's close to his alma mater, which, coincidentally, will be his wife Eve's new workplace. Then, the couple looks at the pool because she is somewhat afraid of it, because of her father, who taught her to swim by throwing her into the water to learn the hard way, while he always wanted one because as a child he had to sneak into clubs to swim. And when they decide to leave, she looks at a baseball that she bends down to pick up until she ends up falling into the water, struggling to get out. Fortunately, motivated by his memories of when he was a star, as he used to be a professional baseball player, he manages to surface before his family arrives to help him, along with the old baseball he managed to grab from the water. Hours later, they visit the doctor, who explains to them that it could be his illness attacking again. So he recommends that he do movement therapy, like swimming. The protagonist suggests buying the neighboring house to have the therapy in its backyard while talking with the others. The children not only like the place, but also decided to move there and adapt it to their needs. While dropping off their eldest daughter, Mayristi, at school, a boy approaches her to invite her to the swimming club. Later, while cleaning up by the pool, she expresses her desire to swim. In addition, her brother Elliot might help the baseball coach, so the father tells a story about his best times when he accidentally cuts his hand. As a result, they call in the experts, who explain that the pool is connected to a spring, which means it self-feeds, in addition to being very good for the skin, which seems to indicate that they were lucky because many houses had it before, serving as a spa center for people's care. In a scene change, Ray uses his rehabilitation time to play with the kids, tossing coins for them to search for at the bottom, telling Eve that perhaps his illness was a sign from God to retire from baseball, although she explains to him that he will never stop being a baseball player. It's just that it's much more than that, because she fell in love with him because of his personality and not because of his profession. At night, our protagonist goes through the moving boxes, finding a video camera in which they have recorded some of the best moments they have lived together, while his wife spends time doing some of her work. He takes a bath to distract himself, but notices the cat acting strange by the pool, which isn't the only odd occurrence there. Intriguingly, she's alone when the lights flicker oddly, prompting her to exit the water before the situation deteriorates further. Then, she investigates the house, noticing that everyone is in their rooms, including her husband, who even fell asleep when she left. At the same time, the cat stays by the pool watching as the boat from the beginning appears out of nowhere. The next day, Elliot finds his pet's collar, wondering what happened to it. So Eve, who tells him that it probably lost it when it fell into the water, although it will return at some point when it's hungry. The boy removes it from the pool, noticing something in its wound. Upon checking, he realizes it has healed completely, without a scar, which could be due to the healing properties of the water, as the expert said. In a scene change, Eve wakes up from a nightmare in which she is drowning and sees that her husband is not there. He swam in the middle of the night. The next day, tests at the doctors showed he was improving, even much more than any other patient he has had, which is strange. But he followed all the provided instructions, along with the water therapy. Now, Elliot is looking for him, finding a recording of his father, showing his manager that he is improving just as he appears to ask for help with the exercises he is doing. So he asks him to accompany him to the pool since his mother won't let him swim alone. But since he's somewhat busy, he draws a happy face on a coin, asking him to entertain himself until he can go with him. So, is he going to do it until he sees a coin fall into the water, thinking it was his father? Despite realizing he's alone, he decides to search for the object, swimming to the pool's deepest part, while coins continue to fall, until he hears his sister outside calling him. Interestingly, there's also no one when he surfaces, so he keeps playing when he believes. He hears someone on the trampoline above, but fails to catch her as she disappears. Only that's not the strangest thing, because at this moment he hears a voice coming from the drain asking for help. And then she introduces herself as Rebecca, who apparently is looking for her parents. He also found his previous toy before searching for the coins. As he picked it up, a hand grabbed him, making him scream. As a result, he goes to his mother to tell her everything, but upon investigating, there is no one. Even when he tells Ray, he thinks it was his imagination. Without friends, he might be making things up to avoid feeling alone. In fact, he says that this afternoon he will go to the boys' game to cheer on his teammates, which could be a good way to get him some friends. They also decide to host a barbecue and invite everyone to a party. Hours later on the field, he prepares the little one for his training. He is nervous because he knows everyone expects him to do well as the son of a professional. So his mother tells him that Izzy was terrified of being alone in class when she was little. So they had a signal to indicate that she could bat, as a reference that everything will be okay if she does what she needs to do. Then, during team practice, our protagonist gives advice to everyone, until the coach invites him to participate, which could be a bad idea, considering his current condition. After several tries, he hits a home run, earning everyone's admiration. Hours later, the couple goes out to dinner, leaving the kids alone, which is used as an opportunity to invite Ronan, the boy from the swim club with whom he plays in the pool, until he decides to leave without telling him, making him believe that he still has to look for him. But when he asks where something else is, he answers. Still believing it's his friend, he follows him underwater where the creature catches him. But when he lets go, he realizes that he is much further away than he should be. She escapes frightened, and Ronnie comforts her. As her parents arrive, he flees, but not before giving her a farewell kiss. Elliot accompanies his sister the following day to discuss the previous night's events. He knows she saw something strange, as he witnessed her emerge from the water, terrified. Only she prefers not to talk about the subject, because everyone is happier since they moved. So she doesn't want to scare her parents into moving again, because no one will believe them that the pool is haunted. Later, the guests arrive to enjoy the party, including the real estate people who listen to some stories from Eve until she gets scared by a scream, even though it's just the kids playing in the water. Then, while the little one sets up a camera to record the pool, his mother takes the opportunity to ask Kate why the previous owners didn't use it. Hearing that years ago, a girl drowned there, referring to the beginning of the movie. Although the situation worsens when she asks if her name was Rebecca, like the girl her son said he heard the other day. On the other hand, when our protagonist invites the coach's son to fight with another family, something takes over him, forcing him to go deeper and deeper into the water, reaching a point where the boy can no longer breathe. But fortunately, Elliot is watching what's happening, realizing the situation, so he goes to his mother to alert her of the problem, managing to save them both. Later, the police go to the place, but the family declines to press charges as the girl blames her husband's illness for what happened, although she asks him not to return to training because she doesn't want him around. As a result, he decides to leave the house to be away from the pool, thinking it's cursed, despite Ray insisting that it's the best thing that's ever happened to him. As he moves away, his condition worsens, forcing them to return fearing something bad might happen to him. Hours later, he calls the doctor to make an appointment because what happened was not common. But upon seeing him, the subject asks to be taken to the pool because he believes that swimming will improve his condition as he feels better in the water, which motivates Eve to empty it, fearing that it may really be haunted. In a scene change, she conducts an investigation where other homeowners, finding that the previous ones were not the only ones who lived there, because many families have disappeared in mysterious ways. So she calls Kai to ask for the Summers' address, who lost their daughter, with the intention of traveling to where they currently live. Upon arrival, the woman warmly welcomes her and shares about her son's successful life. Hearing the name Rebecca changes something within her. Talking about the house, since there used to be a spring there where people made wishes, only that it required certain human sacrifices to keep functioning. He clarifies that Rebecca was sacrificed for his son's healing, because by having the desire for her to be okay, the water used it to take the little girl. Even now, it still uses her because water starts to come out of his face to talk to the girl, saying that her husband will heal sooner or later, and when he's done with them, more will come. Meanwhile, at home, our protagonist takes a shower. The same thing happens to him as Mrs. Summers without anyone knowing. Meanwhile, her children are wondering about her whereabouts as she hasn't seen them. Elliot notices his glass of water vibrating oddly, then hears a noise outside. Thinking it's a still missing cat, he goes out to investigate, seeing a shadow identical to his on a float. So he crawls on the diving board to reach it, not realizing that the pool cover activates on its own. Sadly, the child only finds the spirit of the spring that pulls him into the water, until he shows up there to try to help him without much success. However, Eve's arrival to help at that instant stops the protector from covering all the water. So he dives in to look for his son while the girl runs to ask for help. He ends up falling on the magically broken glass shards from the cup until his father arrives in a somewhat unusual way, seeing that she will call emergency. On the other hand, Eve swims to the deepest part of the spectral spring to find Elliot, not expecting the spirits of all the people the water has swallowed to appear. However, Rebecca's soul is the only one that helps her realize that the surface is on the other side, guiding her so she can swim towards it, managing to get the child out of the depths. And at that moment, our protagonist goes with them to try to convince her to give up, because they need the child's sacrifice for him to be completely healed. Obviously, this is not an option for her, so she strangles him, until Izzy comes back with a bat for her mother to give her the signal they had when she was a child, hitting him to make him expel all the water from the pool. At that moment, the little one finally manages to breathe again, so they try to take him away. But seeing that it is now him who the water spirit is torturing, Ray makes the decision to sacrifice himself in order to save his son, getting into the pool from which a black fog emerges to give his soul for Chico's. In a scene change, they watch a recording in which Ray speaks to everyone, telling them he loves them in a way that only he knows how to do, because he would do whatever it takes to make sure they are okay, just as he demonstrated with the sacrifice. Then, Zip asks the kids if they want to move because they could sell the house, although that would mean another family would be in danger with the pool, because the same thing would happen to them for not knowing its history. So they decide to continue living there, only they order to cover the place so that there is no more magical water living with them. This was Night Swim. Don't forget to like, comment on what other movies you want to see on the channel, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos.